In the dark and eerie streets of Victorian London, a figure emerged who would forever haunt the annals of history. Jack the Ripper. This mysterious serial killer, whose identity remains unknown to this day, terrorized the Whitechapel district in the late 1800s, committing a series of gruesome and unsolved murders. In this exploration, we delve into the haunting tale of Jack the Ripper, examining the crimes, the victims, the investigations, and the enduring fascination surrounding this enigmatic figure. Step back in time with us as we attempt to shed light on the chilling deeds of one of history's most infamous killers. The reign of terror attributed to Jack the Ripper began in the poverty-stricken district of Whitechapel, London, in 1888. His victims, predominantly impoverished and vulnerable women, were brutally attacked and murdered in a manner that suggested a deeply disturbed mind. The killings were marked by the grotesque mutilation and disembowelment of the victims, fueling public hysteria and capturing the attention of the press. Jack the Ripper is widely believed to have claimed the lives of at least 5 women: Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. Each victim had her own tragic story, representing the marginalized and vulnerable members of society. The brutal nature of their deaths, coupled with the gruesome mutilations inflicted upon their bodies, sent shockwaves through the city, creating a climate of fear and panic. The victims. Mary Ann Nichols, known as Polly, was the first officially recognized victim of Jack the Ripper. She was a 43-year-old prostitute struggling with alcoholism and poverty. On August 31, 1888, her lifeless body was discovered in Bucks Row, now Durward Street. Her throat was deeply slit, and her abdomen bore multiple incisions. Annie Chapman, aged 47, was another unfortunate victim of the Ripper. She was also a prostitute living in poverty. On September 8, 1888, her body was found in the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street. Chapman's throat had been cut, and her body was extensively mutilated. Elizabeth Stride, a Swedish-born prostitute, met her tragic end on September 30, 1888. Her body was discovered in Dutfield's yard off Berner Street. Stride's throat had been slit, but her body exhibited fewer signs of mutilation compared to the previous victims. Some speculate that the Ripper may have been interrupted during the act, leaving his work incomplete. Catherine Eddowes, a 46-year-old prostitute, fell victim to the Ripper's brutality on the same night as Stride on September 30, 1888. Eddowes' mutilated body was found in Mitre Square. Her throat was severed, and her face and abdomen bore horrific wounds. Notably, a portion of her earlobe and her kidney were removed by the killer, possibly as macabre trophies. The final recognized victim of Jack the Ripper, Mary Jane Kelly, suffered the most gruesome fate. On November 9, 1888, her body was discovered in her small room on Dorset Street. The extent of her mutilation was beyond anything seen before. Kelly's face had been almost entirely destroyed, and her body was dismembered, with organs removed and placed around the room. The horrific scene was a chilling climax to the Ripper's reign of terror. These 5 women, tragically caught in the grip of poverty and vulnerability, became forever associated with the name Jack the Ripper. Their lives and the horrific manner of their deaths exposed the dark underbelly of Victorian society, shining a spotlight on the plight of impoverished women and the challenges they faced in the face of limited opportunities and societal indifference. The hunt for Jack the Ripper was one of the most extensive and widely covered investigations of its time. The Victorian police force faced numerous challenges in their pursuit of the killer, from lack of forensic technology to a dense web of misinformation. The investigation was marred by false leads, hoaxes, and the difficulty of gathering reliable witness testimony in the impoverished and crime-ridden area. Several suspects emerged throughout the investigation, including Montague John Druitt, Ann Kosminski, and Francis Tumblety, but none were definitively linked to the crimes. The lack of concrete evidence and the killer's ability to elude capture have contributed to the enduring mystery surrounding Jack the Ripper's true identity. From early on, suspects emerged, both named and unnamed. The suspects. Montague John Druitt, a barrister and teacher, is one of the early suspects linked to the Ripper crimes. Druitt had a history of mental illness and drowned himself in the Thames shortly after the last canonical murder. Some theorists suggest that his troubled mental state and proximity to the crimes make him a compelling suspect. However, there is a lack of concrete evidence linking Druitt directly to the murders. Ann Kosminski, a Polish immigrant and resident of Whitechapel, is another significant suspect. He was admitted to a mental institution shortly after the Ripper killings and exhibited obsessive and violent tendencies. Kosminski's name was mentioned in the private memoirs of Sir Melville Macnaghten, a high-ranking police official involved in the case. Macnaghten claimed that Kosminski was a strong suspect but lacked sufficient evidence to prosecute him. Francis Tumblety, an American doctor, was in London during the time of the murders. He had a criminal record and a particular interest in the female anatomy. Tumblety was arrested on unrelated charges shortly after the murders but managed to flee to the United States. Though he was considered a viable suspect by some investigators at the time, concrete evidence linking him to the Ripper crimes has not been found. Severin Antoniovich Klosowski, also known as George Chapman, was a Polish-born barber and later a poisoner. Chapman was convicted and executed for poisoning 3 women, but some researchers have suggested a connection between his crimes and the Ripper murders. However, the timing and modus operandi of Chapman's known crimes differ significantly from the Ripper's methods, casting doubt on his involvement. Walter Sickert, a well-known British painter, has become a more recent and controversial suspect. Some Ripper researchers have speculated that Sickert may have possessed the artistic and anatomical knowledge to carry out the killings. However, the evidence connecting him directly to the crimes is largely circumstantial, and his involvement remains a subject of intense debate among Ripperologists. These are just a few of the many suspects who have been proposed over the years, each with their own unique connections, circumstances, and theories surrounding their involvement in the Ripper case. The lack of conclusive evidence and the passage of time have made it challenging to definitively identify the true identity of Jack the Ripper. The Ripper letters, allegedly penned by the killer, added to the intrigue surrounding the case. The most infamous correspondence, the "From Hell" letter, arrived with a piece of a kidney purportedly belonging to Catherine Eddowes. While the authenticity of these letters remains disputed, they added a chilling layer to the Ripper phenomenon. Legacy and cultural impact. Jack the Ripper's reign of terror may have ended over a century ago, but his legacy lives on. The Ripper murders marked a turning point in the public perception of crime and the emergence of sensationalized media coverage. The case captivated the press, sparking a morbid fascination that endures to this day. Countless theories and speculations have emerged regarding the identity of Jack the Ripper. From aristocrats to artists, doctors to journalists, a wide range of suspects have been proposed over the years. Each theory sheds light on a different aspect of Victorian society, from social inequality and medical knowledge to the prevalence of misogyny and police incompetence. The enduring fascination with Jack the Ripper led to the creation of numerous books, movies, and TV shows, further perpetuating the enigma. The infamous Ripper Tours take visitors through the dimly lit streets of Whitechapel, recounting the grisly details of the murders and offering a glimpse into the atmospheric backdrop of Victorian London.